If you've been watching my channel for a while now, then you probably know of my love for Huawei smartphones. The Mate 20 Pro is one of my favourites of all time, and I personally got to review the Mate 30 Pro, the P40 Pro, and the Mate 40 Pro when they came out on Android Authority. This though, the P30 Pro, was the last flagship device that Huawei launched to come with the support of Google's services. But should you pour £200 into a smartphone just because it supports Google services? Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, thanks to Damien Wilde for sending out this smartphone, and we're going to be looking at the P30 Pro today. £200, you heard that right, £200 is what you will pay for one of these in good condition on the used market. And that's eBay UK, that might kind of vary in different regions and on different sites, but £200 is a good average that I found. And to be fair, it gets you quite a lot of smartphone. If you take away the fact that it's slightly outdated and you look at the raw components and how good of a smartphone it is, which we'll obviously get onto, it's pretty good value for money. It makes it a lot better value for money than something like the Pixel 4a or any kind of Poco phone. It's a really solid smartphone for the money, and I did of course include it in my top used smartphones on the market. Let's talk about the design. I think it still holds up pretty well, to be honest. It's still got curved glass on both the front and the back, as well as the aluminium frame, which makes the phone feel pretty great in the hand, and depending on which colour you get, it looks pretty good as well. This model, provided by Damien Wilde, once again, links in the description, looks amazing in my opinion. Some might not like the water droplet notch, and personally I do prefer the punch hole, but I don't think it looks half bad regardless. And it also has IP68 water and dust resistance on top of the cool design too, which is a nice to have if you live in a rainy country or region. The display as well, it's solid. It's definitely enough for me, and it's enough for most people. You really don't need Quad HD resolutions or 120Hz refresh rates. What we have here is enough. The 6.47 inch 1080p 60Hz AMOLED panel looks good. It's nice to watch videos on and play games with, and if I had one complaint, it would be that it doesn't quite get as bright as I'd like on the sunniest days, but then again, when do we ever get that in Britain? As I've said in some other videos recently, the 60Hz means that you're getting a decent battery life, good performance. It's really the best of both worlds, and I do feel like a lot of people really lean into the high refresh rate stuff when you really don't need it if you're not competitively gaming. And speaking of which, that's where this phone is quickly aging. What you'll find is a Kirin 980 with 6 or 8GB of RAM. These chips have been known for poorer graphics performance over their Snapdragon counterparts, which means that if you're a gamer, you might want to look elsewhere. I did notice a few slowdowns here and there. It definitely wasn't game changing, it wasn't deal breaking, it wasn't like I couldn't use the phone. It was just, not as seamless as it was when it first came out, which makes a lot of sense. Very usable though, and I would say if you're the sort of person who just uses their phone for social media, taking photos, watching videos, really is like the loudest day outside today. But yeah, if you're just like a typical standard phone user, I don't think you'll have a problem with the performance. You will notice probably the slight hangs and a bit of lag here and there, but it's really nothing to complain about. Software is, of course, the biggest concern when it comes to Huawei devices in 2021, and that goes for the P30 Pro as well. You're stuck with Android 9 or 10 depending on your region, which is already outdated whichever one you have, given that the Android 12 developer preview has just been announced. Thinking ahead, Ryan here, it might have been announced a month or so ago. I'm not sure how late this video is going out. Does the software matter? For some people, probably, but for a lot of people, no. And if it was me, I'd be absolutely happy. I'd be joyous at the fact of using a P30 Pro in 2021. I don't think its lack of software support is an issue for me, but I don't think I'd be doing my job as a tech journalist if I wasn't to say that you really probably should avoid this smartphone if you can, avoid it. Wow, I'm really mincing my words today. Avoid it if you can. But we'll get onto that a bit later. The software is going to raise security concerns for a lot of people. It can also actually interfere with compatibility if you use your device with sort of third-party hardware like cameras, like smartwatches, anything like that that relies on an app. You might want the latest and greatest software for that, and you're not getting that here. However, for any of you who are wondering, yes, you do get Google Apps, you do get Google Play, that's all still on here. It's fine, it's just not up to date. Battery life though, couldn't be more different. The 4200 mAh battery and support for 40 watt charging enables all day battery life with no problem. I managed 2 days. I'm not going to lie, my usage is pretty low, but at the same time, still a fantastic battery life, and heavier users will get at least a day of usage in my opinion. However, as with all of these older reviews, you've got to look out for used and degraded batteries. Some batteries are going to degrade faster than others, so it's kind of luck of the draw at that point. Cameras. Oh yes, we have to talk about the cameras, don't we? Because this thing actually blew me away when it came out back in 2019. 40 megapixel main, 20 megapixel ultra wide, and 8 megapixel 5x optical periscope telephoto zoom on the back, and a 32 megapixel selfie camera. What a spec sheet, can I just say. Even 2 years later, you're getting quality, quantity, flexibility, and I love it. Also, I just want to point out, I'm actually reviewing the Galaxy S20 Ultra provided by Damien Wilde again, and this thing has like the whole space zoom going on the back, but it's only a 4x optical and came out a lot later than the P30 Pro, which is a 5x optical. So that 5x optical in the P30 Pro is actually a lot more powerful than a lot of the other periscope cameras out there. They're not all created the same way. Right then, as for the samples, I appreciate Huawei's combination of high quality hardware and top shelf software to give you one of the best camera packages of any smartphone under £500, let alone £200. There's heaps of dynamic range, sharpness, detail. It manages to capture color and white balance really accurately, but also give it like a nice twinge so that you get a properly nice image to look at. And especially when compared to the similarly priced mid-range and budget devices that you can pick up for sort of new in 2021, it's just not even a competition. This thing blows them out of the water. I'm also a huge fan of the camera app. I've said this in the past, and it just allows you to do so much. It allows you to emulate aperture changes with different depth of field effects, changing bokeh shape in portrait mode. I mean, this is an incredibly powerful camera package. Of course, you know, you get the whole sort of night mode, macro modes as well, your typical stuff. There's a lot you can do with this camera app, and it's not overbearing. Like, if you just want to take standard photos, there's, you know, just stick it in photo mode, and you can dig a little deeper and find a slew of modes, and that's what I like about this camera app. As an overall camera package, unbeatable for under £500, I think, unless you can get somehow like the P40 Pro for under £500. Review to come on that, by the way. If you want one of the best smartphone camera packages and you're not too worried about the software flaws, the P30 Pro is a fantastic smartphone. Built well, good screen, decent performance, fantastic battery life and charging capabilities, and that camera is just to die for. When you put all of that into a £200 package, oh, it's just unreal. It's a great smartphone. I'm going to stop gushing now. Objectively, you should probably avoid it, you know, unless you're thinking more about the cameras than anything else. But you really should go for something that's maybe got a warranty or that's going to get better long life software support going into the future. And who knows, maybe this will get Google support sort of updated if something changes with the US and Huawei, although I don't see that happening. But yeah, objectively, probably not the best idea to go for this phone. But if you're like me and you love Huawei smartphones and you love the cameras that they produce, this device is just brilliant. I want to give a massive thank you to Damien Wilde for letting me check this thing out again, because it's always a joy to check out Huawei smartphones. And as I said before, we've actually got the P40 Pro. I'm going to do a video on that, specifically on its cameras, and then also a review of the actual smartphone, because I love that device and it absolutely fascinates me. Anyway, if you want to check out Damien's channel, links will be in the video description, as well as all of my social medias down there as well. Please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one, and check out my Patreon and stuff down there as well. Massive thanks to those guys for continually supporting the channel. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.